Divine Rising family, it's your sister from another Mr. Lovely Fly Shy, back with another video, a long-awaited video at that. I know I have been away for a while, which is certainly not becoming of me, but as you can see by the title, I have my reasons. Now, since the cat is out of the bag, without further ado, we're gonna jump right into the video. Stay tuned. Divine Rising again, soul survivors, I am back, and I just want to jump into the experience that I had throughout my 64 days in jail. I know that this is certainly contrary to popular belief, but I had a rather enlightening, positive, mentally enthralling, and just an awakening within an awakening experience thus far out of all of my jail tours, so to speak. It was very, very positive, just based on the fact that I finally surrendered to my higher power, finally surrendering to my higher self and accepting the assistance, and yes, we have control of ourselves, our emotions, reactions, and responses to certain situations. But what we don't have control over is the outcome and the fate of certain situations, right? And so it took for me to be forced to sit down for 64 days to continue to allow the transfiguration of spirit to truly take place within me. I had to transform my mind, body, and spirit while I was in jail. I was forced to. I was faced to really sit with myself, really sit with what it was that I had still been harboring deep inside of me, the resentments that I had still been holding on to, that I felt upon others and against others, But again, it was through and in this time that things became very clear to me. And that's when I realized it's not even about me. It's about fulfilling the purpose that was preordained for my life. It is about assisting in the awakening of humanity. And by doing that, it had to occur and take place, through thyself first. And it's very uncomfortable to be forced in situations where your freedom is completely ripped and taken away from you. To be completely cut off, it feels, from the world. And it took this situation happening to me to bring me closer to God, to bring me closer to my higher self, to surrender to the divine source of all things, our creator. I just always wanted to be this person who came off as strong, as stronger than strong could be. But I realized while in jail that it wasn't about appearing to be strong and all of these great things. It was about actually believing and feeling that to be true within myself and for me. You see, I wanted people to see the strong side, the happy side, the smiling side, but I didn't want people to see the hurting, the brokenness, the confusion, the guilt, the shame, the exhaustion, mentally, emotionally, physically. I didn't want you all to see that. But as I look back and as I had the time to reflect and self-analyze, I realized that it was a part of my purpose. I wasn't the happiest in jail. I'll be honest with you all. When I first got arrested, I'm like, how the hell am I in here behind a 3-year-old crime that I was allegedly accused of, yet there's no physical evidence indicating that I even committed this crime, yet and still, due to the fact that I signed a plea agreement, I am rendered guilty. And here I was in jail, and I'm recanting this from my way of thinking during that time. So anywho, here I was in jail, angry. I was so mad at God because I couldn't see the work in which he was doing. I couldn't see it. All I could see was my problems. All I could feel is the pain of being away from my kids, of letting them down, of subjecting them to my departure yet once again, to being tempted by the adversary to give in to defeat. Here I was battling, again, not against flesh and blood, but battling with these principalities and high places. And it took this time for me to actually get it, for me to read in this book the unwavering truth about certain things that I had been dealing with. Because if I may add, Psalms and the book of Job is what kept me going. Whenever any type of negative thoughts or negative feeling or emotion would arise or would try its best to penetrate or come through, I would pick up the word of God. Excuse me. I would go within myself. You see, if we are made in the image of God, what does that make us? You know? And once I was able to gain control of the way I was reacting to my incarceration, the clearer things had started to become. I needed to be sat down. You know, I really did. I needed that time to really get it. Because it's funny how the devil works. It's funny how he tries to sneak in and get you when you're at your weariness, right? And the day I got arrested, I remember I was so frustrated and overwhelmed with my 3-year-old. She was just showing out, you know, doing normal 3-year-old stuff. But I guess I just needed an excuse, right? And I went and I bought a Mike's Hard Lemonade. Guess what? I didn't even crack it open. Didn't get the chance to. Not with a spirit coming in and you know, putting its foot down. Because a couple hours later, lo and behold, I was in jail. Having to sit with myself. Having to sit with what it was and the reasoning behind it all. And I didn't even want to pick up this book. Because, you know, that now that my final conclusion throughout my studies of the Bible is that it is merely told to us in allegory and parables, I'm not taking or adding to at all. And I accept that there are some truths in this Bible, some prophecies that I have seen come into play. You know, but aside from that, I had to set aside my disdain towards religion, and I had to actually create my own conception of my higher power. You know, because it all, regardless of what belief, tradition, or culture theory or what have you, it all comes back to the divine source, the one and only living divine source of all things, of creation, you know? And so as I started building my discernment and my awareness and my enlightening myself with things that was once, you know, not even worthy of my time, if you will, right? But you know, all I can say is nothing happens in vain. Nothing does. I had so many worries on my mind. I was going back and forth with God. And I'm just like, well, you know, what about my kids? And what about my apartment? You know, what about my YouTube channel? Like, I'm just starting to finally build up some momentum. I'm just starting to finally get comfortable with this and get comfortable with that and this and that. I'm just worried about so many external things without the understanding at that time that I needed to deal with the internal things before I could really reach the glory of God. And before I could truly be a part of that ushering in New Jerusalem, the new world. You know, I still have work to do. I am a work in progress. And that's what I needed to accept. Yes, I could be strong. And yes, I could withstand. But I also need to feel and I need to release, because these things that I choose not to feel and that I choose not to release is what's keeping me in bondage. Not only physically now, and I'm, you know, speaking from past tense, but mentally, emotionally in bondage. You know, and when you awaken to the fact of who you truly are in your entirety, you realize that no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. It cannot. When you are your own most powerful tool and weapon, you know? And it took me going to jail to come to that conclusion that yes, I can control myself, but I cannot control the outcomes of things. You know? I can do my best to have a hand in the way things turn out by, you know, being positive and you know, being kind and giving and loving and compassionate. However, until I actually allowed the work, the configuration to take place, I needed to be sat down. And what I can tell you all today from that experience is I am very, very grateful and thankful for having gone to jail for 64 days. Because once I finally surrendered to the fact, okay, my kids are okay, I was able to sleep better and I was able to receive what it was that I needed to receive. Because I don't know if I mentioned it, but the book of Job and the book of Psalms is what really kept me going. It was what really, that was my armor of God. That was my strength to get through every day. You know, and once I just surrendered to letting go of external possibilities and external things that could happen, like, for example, in this material world, such as like losing my apartment and this and that. Okay, well, I've lost a lot thus far, Lord. You know, you've taken this, that, and that from me. You know, I can manage and I can accept that, right? But that wasn't all. You see, he was working through me divinely in ways that I'm even having trouble channeling the expression or the terms that I wish to use to describe this. You know, but it was surely an awakening within an awakening, you guys. I met so many women of different backgrounds, cultures, races, creeds, sexual orientations that were broken just as I am, just as you are. But they choose, as I am, and as I choose, to allow the transfiguration process to take place. The total renewing and restoring of one's mind, body, and spirit. Regaining consciousness, as it pertains to who you truly are. You're not just this docile human. You are more. And once I came into that reality, and once I started connecting with other individuals who were on my same wavelength, who were on my same vibration and frequency, it all became like signs and synchronations in a sense. Like every person that I was coming into accordance with, it was like preordained in itself. The things they were saying, the terms they were using, the experiences in which they had that I had similarities to, that I can relate to. You know, the stories that I was able to share about myself, about what I've been through, about where I've been to other women, to uplift them, you know, to empower them, to embark on their own individual journeys of awakening to the truth, you know? And again, it took, like I said, going to jail for me to truly get to this point. You know, my phone is dying, but let me just try to sum it up really quick, because I wanted to add something else that was really important. But again, so what was being done on me is just, I needed to feel, release, and acknowledge, you know, protect and control my energy by controlling my reactions, my responses, my emotions. It's possible. And once you grasp hold of that, and clarity on that, it all becomes easier to decipher, you know? But listen, prophecy is something else, because not only do I have the gift of seeing and hearing, but I have this gift of prophesying, right? And so a couple of days before I got arrested, I had posted a picture on Instagram, and the caption was from a poem that I was writing. And it was, I went, "It feels as if I'm chosen, something deep within unspoken. We fall just to rise up again." And in closing, I'm going to leave you all with this, and what analogy, and I guess you could say concept, that I came up with that can best describe what I wrote. And so what I mean by that is, we fall to our own devices, people, places, and things we hold on to that have no positive moral or spiritual benefit to our life. We fall to our circumstances when we feel the world is only closing in on us, as if we're the only ones going through something, facing something, when it's not just about you, it's not about me. It's about the awakening within itself and being a part of the ushering in of the new earth by raising our consciousness and awakening it, right? You see, we fall when we fail to see and receive the test, the kneading, you know, the transfiguration, the restoring and renewing of our faith, our spiritual, mental, and physical being, becoming truly multidimensional in our essence, you know, in our natural states. That was what I was able to realize and recognize while behind bars, you know. And again, I'm open to different studies, beliefs, theories, concepts, what have you. But I do have the basic understanding and knowledge of the fact that it all boils down to one divine source, creator of all things, one living God, right? So a part of that experience, though, I was forced to let go of old, outdated views and perceptions. I also want to add that I was having like really, really vivid dreams. I'm telling you guys, this ascension is real. This transformation is real. Please continue to go with the flow of things. Allow your spirit, the most high God of all things, to guide you. Surrender to your higher self. Your higher self will never lead you astray. Sorry that I'm like bunching everything together. It's because my phone is dying. And yeah, but to say the absolute least, all I can say was that I had a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical awakening of just many sorts throughout the experience. You know, just mingling with other women and just understanding us as a whole and in our essence, really. And just kind of understanding my purpose more and my reason to be here, you know? And yeah, I just want to say, like, you know, the transformation has begun, the healing has begun. And sometimes it takes, you know, rough situations to take place for you to finally come out of yourself and come from amongst those people, places, and things that were holding you back and keeping you trapped in the 3D matrix. But also to really allow that transfiguration to take place, to really have that relationship with your higher self, you know, to really practice self-love and caring for yourself and nurturing yourself. You know, I practice that heavy in jail. I may not have had my products that I need or that I usually use while I'm, you know, not in those circumstances, but I still ensured that I was taking care of my skin and just really pouring love and light into myself, especially in those circumstances. That's very important. But yes, I just feel like a breakthrough is right around the corner. I must say that. It's just crazy how life works and how we have to be put through certain tests to really strengthen us and to build us and assist in the evolution of who we were always destined to be. So yeah, may have took jail for me to finally say, you know what, enough is enough. I choose life. I choose peace. I choose awakening. I choose to live how I was truly intended to be. And with that said, you all, I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching, and be sure to comment. I miss you guys so much. All right, let me edit this video. Peace.